It was raw, as many words, raw, sad, happiness, elation,
Yeah.
all those words that you might think, are, don't get along, but those are feelings that Ty and I felt.
Hmm. Welcome to Entertainment Weekly's The Awardist. I'm David Canfield, EW's movies editor, and I'm joined today by Spike Lee, director of Da 5 Bloods, and also David Byrne's American Utopia. Hey, Spike, how you doing?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm well. I am so excited to talk to one of my favorite filmmakers on the planet. This is quite an honor.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, welcome back to Vietnam.
Look what I found.
You're the man in all his glory.
Who was that guy? That brother was the best damn soldier that ever lived.
I've noticed that, starting with Black Klansman and now this one, your films have sort of entered into this awards conversation in the kind of way that they weren't necessarily before, in a way that I would say, personally, I think is very overdue. And I'm just curious, being on this podcast, talking about your film in this way and having it receive that kind of respect, having your films receive that kind of respect, what has that been like for you?
Well, it's been very good, but I think that what that demonstrates is that we saw that there was a difference in the membership of Academy voters. Very few of the same people voting back to the films that came in 1989 are still voting the last couple of years.
Little gracefully put too. I think that says it all right there. Well, speaking of 89 or around that era, one of the things I loved about Da 5 Bloods is that you bring back people that you've worked with, like Delroy Lindo and Clark Peters, and others, for this film that's really about
Isaiah Whitlock too.
Isaiah Whitlock, yeah, absolutely. And in this film about brotherhood, really. Can you talk a little bit about bringing these guys together for this kind of story, reuniting and just being able to come together to tell a story like this?
Well, the camera doesn't lie. The camera tells the truth. And that people are supposed to be familiar with each other by relation or whatever, and they just meet the first day on the set, the camera's going to peek that.
Yeah.
The camera's going to expose that. So I've been very, very blessed working with the company of actors over several decades. And the funny thing is that I had not thought about till Delroy Lindo reminded me that it had been 25 years since the last time we had worked. But I guess time waits for no one. I didn't even know it was that long. But another but, I know there's two buts in a row, but it was not like when we got together, it's like we had seen each other last night.
So directing someone like Delroy after 25 years, you mentioned it didn't feel that long necessarily, but when you get back to set and it's been that long since you've had that kind of relationship in that kind of capacity, does you fall back into old rhythms? Do you find him a little different as an actor than you used to?
Like I just said with the previous answer, it was like that 25 years was 2 days ago.
2 days ago. He's got a different kind of role, though. I'm curious, talking him through that and putting him, front and center. He hasn't led a movie like this in quite some time. What kind of early conversations did you have about this character, who, of course, generated a lot of attention for being a Vietnam vet, who's also a Trump supporter, but of course found a lot more nuances along the way.
Hold on. Agent Orange supporter.
Agent Orange supporter, excuse me. Outgoing Agent Orange, we can finally say.
But Delroy, I called him up, told him I want to read something. He said, send it to me, send it FedEx. I didn't expect Delroy to hear from me the next day because he has to read it several times. And when he called back, he wanted to do the role, but he was hesitant about playing this black Vietnam soldier who was a supporter of Agent Orange. He gave a slight hint, could we take that out? And I said, no can do. So then he came back to me at the minute and said, he wants to do it because for him, he had to find the way to play a character which is total opposite of what he believes in.
Time we got these freeloading immigrants off our backs and built that wall. Negroes better wake the up with the quickness, man.
No.
I'm just saying,
Don't tell me that you voted for President Fake Bones Byrne.
Why was it important for you to stick to that for that character, even after Delroy had asked for otherwise?
Well, number one, my late mother would always tell me that Black people not one monolithic group. And dramatically, I was thinking, what can I come up with which would bring the most friction between this tightly knit group of guys? I mean, when you come out of war and you come with the guy who's to your left and the guy to your right, I mean, there are bonds that are made in war. So it's going to take something super duper large to put a wedge in. And it didn't take me long to think of Agent Orange.
Yeah, he'd come up pretty quickly in that respect, I would think.
Also, Agent Orange made a cameo appearance in Black Klansman too. That's two. He's been Agent Orange been the last two Spike Lee joints.
I wanted to talk to you about, kind of in that respect, one of the most powerful scenes for me in the film is when Delroy's character breaks that fourth wall and you really burst this film wide open and there's this rage coursing through it and this humanity. What was the decision to do that? What was that conversation like? And how did you want to execute that? Why did you want to do that?
I was asleep. I mean, I was fast asleep, knocked out, man. God spoke and woke me. I said, God, why you waking my black up? God said to me, oh, them motherfuckers. Keep on keeping on.
Oh, that's not something new. I've had characters speaking in the camera for the very first film. She's gonna have it. So it's not new, and it's just a matter of I gotten better where to do that. I just knew it had to be there because his mental state, going back to Vietnam, he was unstable already with trauma, but just going back in the jungle was too much for him. And he had a mental breakdown and he started speaking to the audience directly.
This was a film made before what became 2020. You make a film about a war that divided this country and with a character like Delroy particularly who represents that. And it comes out really at the height of the George Floyd protests, like his death and Breonna Taylor. And following that, of course, you have this movie out on streaming, finding a different kind of audience. You know, this is new for you in terms of a rollout for a film. 2020 is new for all of us, but putting this on streaming, immediately reaching that broad audience at such a fraught time. What was that experience like for you?
I did not, no one knew what was happening. Very few people knew what was coming. And the plan was for the world premiere of The Five Bloods be at the Cannes Film Festival. Yeah. Where at the same time, I was going to be the first Black president for the jury at Cannes. And once Cannes didn't happen, it was a very quick decision. Ted Sarandos, Scott, Tendo, we said, look, let's put it straight to Netflix. And everything just came together. And of course, I would like to be open to the theater, but a lot of directors wished, on hindsight now, wish they would have been with Netflix. They got stuck with, not stuck, but they were with some studios that don't have a streaming outlet. So it messed up a whole lot of stuff. But nothing more important than the loss of life. I want to repeat that. Nothing that happened, no changes got made or pushed off or changed. None of that is greater than the lives we lost because of that Rona.
You did have a festival lunch of sorts, though, of course, with American Utopia a few months later. Given that kind of virtual premiere, you've had the full spectrum, I feel like, of the virtual cinematic experience in 2020 in terms of rollout. You also have two movies that I think complement each other in really interesting ways, where The Five Bloods feels, a lot harsher and attuned to the anger of the moment in that way. I personally found so much in American Utopia that was just joyful and really nice to be able to have something that really made you feel good for an hour.
Look, you talk about main man. What you just described, that's David Byrne.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And I'm just, again, I'm overusing this word, but I was blessed that David thought of me to be a part of it.
It was. I mean, I had seen it on Broadway. It felt quite similar to me to what was executed there, and I was interested in the way, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about capturing that exact same feel, because it really did bring you into the show in a way that I remembered.
David Byrne's American Utopia is not the first time I've filmed a Broadway play. Stu and Heidi's Past and Strains, a musical. I did Mike Tyson on Broadway. Several projects with my brother, John Guzzamo. So it's not the first time. And with the assistance of the great cinematographer, Ellen Kuras, we did the damn thing. Ellen Kuras and I went to many shows before we shot it. And we had to do that, become familiar with the choreography, the staging, so we can know where to put the camera. The choreography, the staging told us where to put the camera.
I guess I'm curious, between these two movies and the virtual launches, did you find your audience getting your work exposed to a different group of people than you had in the past, just given that they were rolled out differently? Did you get different kinds of reactions, things like that?
Well, I don't think it was different. I think the world changed.
Yeah.
And so people were stuck at home. I mean, it was a lot of firsts for everybody involved. You,
of course, won the New York Film Critics Circle Special Award, and they were honoring your contribution to New York cinema and life. What does an award like that mean to you, particularly the amount of New York movies you've made over your career?
Well, I'm very happy it was recognized by the New York Film Critics, and happy and grateful that Delroy Lindo won Best Actor and Chadwick won Best Supporting Actor, both for Five Bloods. They have a scene in the film that, of course, took on, I think, really new, painful and powerful meaning in the film, this sort of imagined reunion, because, of course, Chadwick's character has passed in the film, and watching it again in the wake of his tragic death, it was such a moving scene before, but it takes on this whole new dimension. I'm curious if you've rewatched it or. That scene, my wife and I, Tanya and I, we watched Five Bloods again immediately after we hearing of Chadwick's transition, and his I mean, he was great, but seeing it after our brother left us, it turned into something else. What was that feeling like, seeing it right after that? I mean, I can imagine it was pretty raw. It was raw, as many words: raw, sad, happiness, elation, all those words that you might think, don't get along, but those are feelings that Ty and I felt. Yeah, it's just such a beautiful scene. I think it works as this almost tribute to him in this really profound way. Just in my own personal experience, having watched it recently.
I know you, blood. I died for you, blood.
I know you talked a little bit about around release when some Black Vietnam vets had seen the movie, and they asked you, what took you so long? What did take you so long? Why was this the moment to make this movie for you?
I had done a World War II film before. It's not my first war film. The other one, the first one was a film called Miracle St. Anna, about the 92nd Division of black soldiers who fought in Italy against Mussolini's fascists and Hitler's Nazis. This script was brought to me by Lloyd Levin, written by Danny Bielsen and Paul DeMeo, and my co-writer Kevin Wilmot and I. We read the script and we said, we could make this a story about the black, forgotten black soldiers who fought in an immoral war, the Vietnam War. And funny, when you go to Vietnam and you say the Vietnam War, they correct you very politely. They correct you, say it's not the Vietnam War. We call it the American War. We went to their land, not the other way around.
This was recently the 20th anniversary of one of my favorites of yours, Bamboozled. And I wanted to ask you to close here, reflecting on that film versus this film, 20 years, how you think you've changed and grown as a filmmaker through to here to Defy Bloods.
Well, the first thing when I think about one of the first I think about Bamboozled is that the New York Times refused to run the ad for Bamboozled with the pickaninnies in the cotton patch.
That's right.
It is, and the watermelons too.
Yeah, that's right.
They felt that would be offensive.
Yep.
But that's one of my films where people just dismissed it or missed it. One of those missed words, and that have found later on.
Definitely, I think it's definitely a new appreciation.
Did that 2000.
20 years.
19 years ago. God damn.
Did it feel like 2 minutes again?
Now that one seemed longer.
Okay. All right.
But do the right things like yesterday. Bamboozled, right. 19 years.
Is there another one that feels like that, like far away, that's due for a sort of comeback like that?
25th Hour.
Yeah.
A lot of people missed that when that film came out. Now people love it.
Yeah.
And that happens. That happens with novels, albums, whatever. Sometimes,
Absolutely.
whatever it is, don't hit right away.
Yeah.
But
Ahead of its time, sometimes.
You're lucky it gets another life.
And I think yours have had a few of those. Rightfully
Too
so.
many.
And many more to come. I would bet.
And
many more to come. Well, we shall soon see. Spike Lee, thank you so much.
We shall see.
We shall see. Thank you so much. The film is Defy Blood. There's also David Byrne's American Utopia. Quite a year. Both of those films are available for streaming. And please go check them out. This has been The Awardist. I'm David Canfield.
Everybody, this is Spike Lee. Don't go for okie doke. That Rona, that 19 is no joke. Wear your mask. Peace and love.
Please listen to him.